the last 30 years with the TPLF government, there's been hundreds of thousands of journalists that have been put in jail. That's why you haven't had a chance to hear about it. The latest protest, what's happening, the Oromo students were peacefully protesting the land expansion of Addis Ababa. It was expanding into the indigenous Oromo people's land. The federal government took away the power from the Oromia police force. They took their weapons, took their vehicles, and the federal government proceeded to shoot students. They've been shooting and killing them. They've been putting them in jail on large-scale numbers. So the reason you haven't heard about it is because the so-called democratic government, the TPLF government, is not democratic at all. So they take any voice and they throw them in jail. So we're trying to provide a voice for the voiceless people. So hopefully this message can get out to them, to let them know that they have support here in Canada, and to let the TPLF government know that we will not put up with this. We don't live in a day and age where they shoot people.
Of course, when you mentioned Indigenous, you really got my attention because, of course, in Canada we've always had some persecution against the Indigenous people of this land here too, the First Nations people, Treaty 6 land that we stand upon right now too. This seems to be happening all around the world.
Yes.
Do you want to expand a little more about the Indigenous aspect of that?
Absolutely. The Oromo people are the original people of what is now Ethiopia. The proper name for that land is Oromia. The people of Abyssinia, as it used to be known, came from the north. In the late 1800s, they expanded into what is now modern-day Ethiopia with the help of Britain at the time. So, of course, they didn't have weapons, whereas the Amhara and the Tigrayan tribes were given weapons from the west. With these new weapons, they went into the land, they started slaughtering in the millions. And within a 5-year period, there was 5 million Oromos killed. All of this has been silenced. Most media, what you will find about the Oromo people is on Wikipedia. If you search the sources, you'll find the sources were close friends with Haile Selassie. So the only message you're getting out is the message of the people who have taken over their land. So their people haven't had a voice. So that's why I say these are the indigenous people. They are the original people of this land. The people who have taken over their land are now in what is called Eritrea. So this news is hard to find because they jailed the journalists, they jailed the voice of the Oromo people, they killed them, they tortured them, and they silenced them. And then they take money from Western governments saying that they're a democratic government. This is not a democracy. Democracy, people have a voice, and they have no voice. So we're trying to be the voice for that people.
I'm going to ask you to tell me what you just said, but in 2 minutes, in your language. Okay, and I'll post that.
Okay. Ummanni Oromooti fi studenti University of Oromo master plan Ethiopian baasu ka ummata isaa qoteen bula mana isaati irraa fi lafa isaa irraa rabuu godhan dhaabuu fi du'aatiin jira. Alamatti himattuutti jira. Ummatatti himattuutti jira. Kanaaf du'uutti jira. Kanaaf dhaabachuu jira. Kanaaf lallabachuu jira biyya westerniitti biyya dimokiraasiitti.
Okay, I'm going to read a press release that was handed out at today's rally, and it starts off by saying, "We Oromo Canadians, we are marching to protest the brutal killings of the Oromo University students by the minority dictatorial regime of Ethiopia. The Oromo people are the single largest national group, constituting close to 50% of the 90 million population of Ethiopia. Nevertheless, the Oromo, the indigenous people of this region, were forcefully incorporated into present-day Ethiopia. We have lost our freedom, human dignity, and the right to self-rule, control over the natural resources, and we have been subjected to political suppression, marginalization, economic exploitation, and cultural domination. The current Ethiopian Abyssinian kingdom succeeded in conquering our people only with the help of the European colonial powers, but we have never ceased struggling to regain our lost freedom, human dignity, the right to self-rule in our country, Oromia, and for the right to determine our destiny. As it has been a practice of the Ethiopian state, the current Ethiopian regime for the past 23 years to continue to detain, torture, and kill our people for merely demanding our legitimate rights, and persecution of our people has attained new heights this week, with our students staging a simple, peaceful demonstration through Oromia and demanding freedom, democracy, and the right to own and manage our resources. Our students' demand is legitimate, as it concerns the Oromo people's entitlement to use and manage their own resources like any other people. They are peacefully demanding their constitutional right to be respected. Instead of heeding the peaceful demonstrations' legitimate demands, the ruling party is presently unleashing its security forces against unarmed students, and more than 75 young university students have been murdered by the regime's security forces thus far. We call upon the democratic governments and the people of the world to stand with the Oromo student legitimate demands for freedom, self-rule, democracy, and human dignity. We call upon the Canadian government to exert the leverage of the Ethiopian government and to help stop the killings of innocent Oromo students, respect the Oromo people's constitutionally guaranteed right to the special interests over Addis Ababa, and reverse the planned expansion of the city limit. Immediately release all those languishing in prison merely for expressing their political positions and views. We demand the international community to pressure the dictatorial and repressive Ethiopian government for all-inclusive political and community conference to deliberate on outstanding political issues and chart a lasting political solution for the country. We call upon the international community to stand with our people to say no to the indiscriminate killings, torture, inhumane and degrading treatments of our people. We also call upon the stakeholders, political and non-political, to stand in unison with the Oromo and other Ethiopian people for freedom and democracy, freedom and justice for all.
I've seen a lot of rallies, I've seen a lot of cameras, a lot of newspaper people, but I didn't see any stories the next day.
Bingo!
We want to save our communities!
We want to save our communities!
And the only way is to go green!
The only way is to go green!
Okay, the question is, has the media done a very good job of covering the atrocities in the Congo?
No!
People are getting killed because they're asking to be recognized as human beings. So we need to stand up and say that we are all human